Hey everybody, Bruce here with Traveling with Bruce. Here's an update for you. It's Friday, February the 7th, 2020, and I thought I'd do a recap of where things are at with this virus situation that is circling the globe, emanating from China. Of course, I cover the cruise ship world, so let's cover the cruise aspect of it all. Thanks for subscribing to my channel, giving my videos thumbs ups, really appreciate it. Thank you, those of you who give me comments as well. Love to get your comments. Any news that you hear, you let me know about it. Also, join my Facebook group page, Traveling with Bruce, spelled with 2 L's. A lot of us hang out on the page between my video updates. Okay, here's where we're at today. It's been one heck of a week, and everything is fluid. No stopping this story. Royal Caribbean came out with an announcement in the last hour that has got a lot of people reacting. The announcement basically says, and let me just literally read it from Royal Caribbean's own website. It's quite the shock. Here we go. Until further notice, all ships in the Royal Caribbean Cruises Limited fleet will adopt these health screening protocols. I do not know, by the way, if this includes Celebrity Cruises, if this includes all of their other lines. It might. We'll find more about that shortly. But here we go. Number 1, regardless of nationality, any guest or crew member traveling from or to through mainland China, Hong Kong, or Macau in the last 15 days prior to their sailing will be unable to board any of our ships. Number 2, any guests holding a Chinese, Hong Kong, or Macau passport, regardless of residency or when they were there last, will not be allowed to board our ships. Any guest or crew member that has been in contact, and in brackets they say, which the CDC defines as 6 feet or 2 meters, brackets, in contact with someone that has traveled from, to, or through mainland China, Hong Kong, or Macau less than 15 days prior to their sailing will also be unable to board any of our ships. I mean, this is a blanket ban, to say the least. There have been all kinds of legal groups already jumping up and down about this, talking about discrimination and what have you, but it's just obvious that Royal Caribbean has basically decided, throw caution to the wind and ban anyone with a Chinese passport, Hong Kong passport, Macau passport from getting on the ship, no matter where you live. Now, there are folks with Hong Kong passports that live in London, England, live in New York City, live in St. Louis. You can't get on a Royal Caribbean cruise ship no matter what. That is pretty blanket and pretty severe. I'm kind of wondering if this is the first cruise line of many that will follow this. What I'm kind of shocked about or surprised about so far, though, is not a single airline anywhere has put any kind of restrictions on passengers boarding aircraft that I'm aware of. Unless I'm missing something, I cannot see any headlines to this. Maybe these are buried somewhere, but you would wonder if you're going to go on an airplane ride, say from, I don't know, let's say from London, England to Singapore, or from Tokyo to Los Angeles. No airline has put any restrictions in place that I'm aware of on passport holders or travelers to get on planes that, in some cases, these flights are 10, 12 hours long. Kind of wonder. I do wonder if this will expand, though. If this does get into the airline segment, all the other cruise lines, we're talking about global travel that might be severely restricted. And if other, say, countries or nationalities start to reciprocate, this could get out of hand. I mean, you may find that China may say any country or any other business that discriminates against Chinese people is, we're going to discriminate against them. And I don't know, it could get ugly. But in any event, right now we're at the height of the concern of this virus, and a lot of concern is spreading around the globe. And like I say, these announcements are coming out. Now, let me get back to the cruise segment because that's kind of where I do my work. There have been other developments. I did just read in the last half hour that Hong Kong itself, the territory of Hong Kong, has now instituted a mandatory 14-day quarantine period for anyone entering Hong Kong from mainland China. So if anyone's arriving from mainland China to Hong Kong, the first thing you're going to be doing is going into a 14-day quarantine. That I think will dissuade a lot of people, I'm sure, from coming in from mainland China. Rather than just shut the border down entirely, which a lot of Hong Kong nationals have been calling for, they're instituting this policy. I don't know how China's going to like that. But back to the cruising side. In Hong Kong, there's a ship that's in the harbor at the Kai Tak cruise port called the World Dream, and that's owned by Genting Cruises. The World Dream has been in quarantine now for several days and apparently is going to be in for a 14-day quarantine in Hong Kong. Passengers are going to be restricted to the ship. There have been 30 crew members tested for the virus, and in effect, Hong Kong authorities are keeping a watchful eye on all passengers and the remainder of the crew to see how they are faring, whether or not any new cases of the virus will appear. The Diamond Princess cruise ship. This is the one that has been in Yokohama in Japan. That's just outside of Tokyo. It arrived in Yokohama about 4 days ago, and it was immediately determined within 24 hours that there were 10 passengers on board the ship with this virus. 2 days later, another 10 were discovered to have the virus. That made 20. And yesterday, it came out that 41 more cases of the virus have appeared amongst passengers. And these are nationalities across the world. We're talking Canadians, Americans, Australians, Chinese, you name it. And the ship continues to remain in quarantine. The story is that February the 19th, the ship will be released from quarantine as of last report. Now, I don't know what's going to happen. If another 50 or 100 cases show up in the next week or so, does that delay the release or not? I can't say. I haven't heard yet. We'll stay on top of this story. Passengers in the case of the Diamond Princess, though, they have been sequestered and restricted to their cabins, although on a supervised rotational basis, depending on what deck number you're on and so on. Passengers with inside and ocean view rooms that do not have a balcony have been allowed to go to the upper decks for stretching and a walk and that type of thing. However, you cannot mingle with another passenger within 1 meter. You must stay at least 3 feet away from the next nearby person. There are monitors everywhere up there to keep that in place, and you have to be wearing a surgical mask and gloves to go out. I'm not sure if this policy is in place for balcony passengers. I thought I had read somewhere that balcony passengers can also go out onto the deck, and then I had heard that it was only for inside passengers, inside rooms and ocean view rooms. So I'm not 100% sure, but we're monitoring that situation. I think they have 12 more days to go from now. Today being the 7th of Feb. Holland America. The Holland America Westerdam is in the ocean right now. It's at sea, having left Hong Kong, having visited, or being rejected first of all in Manila, but then visited Taiwan. I think 2 days ago, the ship set out into the sea to attempt to complete its voyage through a number of Japanese ports, and then a visit to Busan in South Korea, and then ending the cruise in Yokohama, whereas in the past, the ship was supposed to go to Shanghai, end her cruise there. Yesterday, the ship was informed by Japanese authorities out of the blue, you cannot enter any Japanese ports of call. So I believe there were 4 ports of call that were on the schedule for the Westerdam, all canceled. We now have heard also that the next cruise, which was supposed to, this cruise was supposed to end, the next one was supposed to start on February the 15th in Yokohama. The next cruise has been canceled. And so this ship will, if it can offload its passengers on the 15th of February, will not have another cruise behind the 15th of February, and we'll see how long that lasts. So, not good. Now, the story on the Westerdam is that they've been providing free Wi-Fi to everybody. The bars are still open. The restaurants are still going. There are no reported cases of the virus on board the ship, from what everyone is saying so far. The cruise line insists there are no cases. But these districts in Asia, all of these countries in Asia, starting with the Philippines, Singapore, of course Hong Kong itself, now mainland China, Japan, they have all banned cruise ships from coming in if any of the passengers on these ships have been on the mainland in mainland China lately. So Holland America picked up 800 passengers from Hong Kong just 5-6 days ago. And the ship is just not welcome anywhere. So this is a real dilemma for this particular ship, and it's a dilemma for all cruise lines operating in the Asia area, because they know that really, why would you bother visiting an Asian port? One, you might expose your clientele to the virus. But two, you travel all that way to get there, and you get within a day's sailing of a certain port, and then you find out the last minute you can't come in. I did hear yesterday evening that Cunard has announced that the Queen Mary 2, which is on Around the World cruise, has canceled her visit into Hong Kong, which is this is a big deal on an annual basis for a Cunard ship to come into Hong Kong, especially the one that's doing a world cruise. But the QM2, Queen Mary 2, will now go to Singapore instead, and then likely work its way towards Thailand and Malaysia, and then towards India, and head out from there. From what I understand, I may have the itinerary in the wrong direction. It might be going the opposite way from Singapore and then over towards perhaps Indonesia, and perhaps from there towards the islands in the Pacific. In any event, China is out, Hong Kong is out, and a number of other ports are totally out of the question for a lot of cruise lines right now operating in Asia. Earlier this morning, the news broke out of New York. The media went crazy for a few hours when the Anthem of the Seas arrived in Bayonne, New Jersey. At the end of a Caribbean cruise. Apparently there were 27 passengers on board the Anthem of the Seas with Chinese passports who had been to the mainland in the not too far past. And the CDC and all kinds of other health professionals, ambulances arrived at the dock in Bayonne, New Jersey to meet the ship. And of the 27 nationals, 4, apparently, as far as I know, 4 Chinese nationals were taken to area hospitals. I could be wrong on that. That could be 1 or 2 from the Chinese nationals and perhaps 1 or 2 passengers. I do not know. Of course, this particular cruise is being heavily frequented by Americans, but there are a number of foreigners on board these cruises as well, especially out of New York like this. So we'll see how things work out. Apparently, the Anthem of the Seas has delayed its departure out of Bayonne, New Jersey until tomorrow, so it's a 24-hour delay. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but if you're one of the 4,900 or 5,000 passengers looking to get on the cruise ship today to start your cruise to the Caribbean, you now are stuck in Bayonne, New Jersey with your luggage. You're going to have to find some accommodation tonight and then come back tomorrow, and I don't believe Royal Caribbean is giving any compensation to anyone to book hotel rooms or buy meals in New Jersey or New York or wherever they're staying tonight. I would imagine that 5,000 people are scrambling all morning this morning and all afternoon now to find accommodation nearby, relatively speaking, to be able to get to the port again tomorrow. But that's the way it's going. Now, of course, if any passengers are looking to get on this ship that are Chinese nationals, you can forget about it, because the new policy just announced today in the last hour by Royal Caribbean will shut you out from even this particular cruise here. So there you have it. The question is going to be, how far is this going to spread? How much more will this impact travel? Could it be that in the next week, if it gets worse, could it be plausible to think that many more cruise ships and cruise lines will ban more and more passengers from certain countries, and or if cases start appearing here and there on other ships in other areas of the world, could it be that there will be a bunch of ships in quarantine at the next port of call that they visit, and or might it be that a number of cruise lines literally shut down their business for, say, 2 to 4 weeks to wait out the development of this entire episode that's happening around the globe? We don't know. I'll watch the airlines. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll keep an eye on the cruise lines, and we'll just see where this takes us. But there you go, folks. There's an update for you. Friday afternoon, February the 7th, 2020. This is where we're at, and all of this information, all of these developments I've been talking about have literally taken place in only the last 10 to 14 days, and things are moving at light speed all around the world. We'll stay on top of it. I appreciate all of you who are commenting on my videos. Thank you for those of you who are finding my channel, subscribing to Traveling with Bruce, giving my videos thumbs ups. I know a number of you are binge watching my channel. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And check out my Facebook group page, Traveling with Bruce, spelled with 2 L's. And also, if you have the time, check out the Instagram page for Traveling with Bruce. We have an Instagram page, and my wife Jennifer, she's the Jennifer Aniston lookalike wife that I have. No one's ever seen her, but that's what she looks like, trust me. She's handling that account, so if you ever want to send a message to Jennifer, this is your chance. Head over to the Instagram page for Traveling with Bruce. I'll leave with that. Thank you, everybody. We'll stay on top of these breaking developments, and we'll keep you posted. Bye for now.